Right.
Roxy. I don't know. It just depends on who shows up.
How do I know if I'm
Yeah.
at live on YouTube?
There's like a 10-second delay. It'll show up soon.
I found it.
Yep,
I
you're
had to
live.
mute it. I had to mute it. Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Well, it won't let me do anything on YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
well,
not much you can do on the YouTube right now.
how do I make mods?
Mods. Oh, let me see. Yeah, I need to type in there first. So when I type in there, you go to my name and you see another drop menu, the three dots. It'll say remove,
Right.
mute,
I know how to
something,
do
and
that.
create. Yeah, it's gonna say create moderator or create moderator or something like that.
But
Create moderator, make
you should
moderator.
be a mod now. I'll refresh it and see.
Yep,
'Cause-
it worked.
yeah. Okay, so I figured that part out. We're good to go. So at least I have a mod, you know.
Yeah,
But so we're doing good so far. And when we get done, you'll have to tell me how to, yeah, exit the YouTube part. But yeah,
yeah, it's automatic. So when you're in your StreamYard, you know
yeah,
where you went to go live, where it says go live, it'll say end stream now instead of go live
cool.
in your StreamYard. You see where it says end stream?
Right. And
Yeah. So
and broadcast. Cool.
yep. So it's automatic. You don't have to mess with YouTube.
Awesome.
Yep.
So how did you become so interested in cooking?
That's not really. At first, I wasn't really interested. My mom taught me when I was young. I mean, I watched her cook. Those are the memories I have of her. I would watch her cook. Uh, and then after that, my grandma started teaching me because it was just me. It was me. She was one of the grandmothers that teach the oldest how to do things. So since I wasn't a girl, she taught me how to do things anyways. Around the house. The
Right.
most Mexicano or Mexican grandmas do that. So I mean, she taught me how to sew. How she taught me how to cook, and so I just started learning from there on how to do it. I had fun with it. I still have fun with it. It's just
Right.
something I enjoy.
That's why, I mean, when I was little, I had no choice but to learn how to cook and clean and
Yeah, pretty much
all
same
of
here
that
too.
good stuff.
Yeah, especially when things went not so well in my life, I really had to do everything.
Right. I mean, when people ask me, what do you specialize in? I just go, huh? I don't specialize in anything. I'm a Jane of many trades and a master of none. So,
Yep, that's how it is. That's how it is for me too. I'm the same way.
hi, Selby.
I am the same way. Many skills, but a master of none.
Right. And another thing is like back in the day, well, a lot of people don't realize if the woman was married to a man and they lived on a farm, she not only had to keep the house going, but she also had to know how to do everything that her husband done because when he left and went to town to get supplies, she was there. She had to run the farm and everything, you
Yeah,
know. And if he left, well, she still had to keep the farm going and raise the kids and take care of the house, you know, take care of the garden, grow their food, and take care of the animals and stuff. It
yeah. It was
wasn't,
her duty. It was still her duty. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize that part. A lot of people think, oh, the city slickers. They wore those
Yeah.
glamorous dresses and those awesome suits. And no, in reality, um, those that only the rich did that. They had to have servants to do everything for them because they didn't know how to do it. You know,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I kind of when I was younger, I kind of thought that way. Man, I can't wait to be rich. I can have my own servants and all this stuff. And then I just lost interest in that. It was just something. It's not meant for me. That's why I never pursued anything like that. Wasn't
Right,
It was something as a child, I was younger that oh yeah, it'd be cool to be rich. I can have this and that and servants, and then later on in life, I never pursued
reality.
it because it just yeah, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I really wanted.
Right. I mean, you know, sure, you hear about how um, the rich and the famous, they have everything that they could want, and then the 90s came along and the 2000s came along, and all of a sudden it became chic to get arrested for shoplifting and being rich,
Yeah.
and you had the money that you could pay for it. But no, they had to get arrested, go to jail, and that was okay because, they were famous, they were rich. And it tells you that they're not happy with what they have.
No, they're not.
Otherwise, they wouldn't go that route in life, you
A
know?
lot of times when I was younger too, I stole things to be cool, but at the same time, I stole things because I knew I could, and I got away with it until I got busted, and then I stopped.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I learned not to steal anymore.
I had a neighbor kid, and he was a migrant worker's child. Okay, his mom and dad's were the seasonal workers, and it was cool because the seasonal people, they'd go to work, and they knew that I was there and I was watching out over their kids for them. And if they had any problems, they all knew that if they went home and the kids weren't there, come to my place because they could find them. And anyhow, this one kid, he went and he was shoplifting, and this officer brought him to me, and I said, "Oh." And I looked right at the kid in front of the officer, and I pointed at her, and I says, "You thought she was your worst nightmare? Oh, no, 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 no. She's the nice angel." I said, "She brought you to me."
Nice angel.
I says, "Not only do you have to deal with me, but when your mom and dad come home, you're going to have to deal with them. So tell the officer, thank you, ma'am, because now my time on earth is going to be hell for the next several days." And the officer, she just kind of looked at me, she chuckled. She knew I wasn't serious about making his life hell, but she knew that, yeah, when his mom found out, his life wouldn't be so easy, you know.
Yeah.
But we never had a problem with that kid after that one stunt. So yeah, I put the fear of God in him. And so yes, you're right. Money doesn't necessarily make you happy.
Oh, it does not. Heck no. I learned that lesson a long time ago.
Right. But yeah, candy season's coming. Bacon season's coming. And I don't know what is going to go on or happen in America, but I hope that we're all able to be
Yeah.
prepared and ready for anything that they would happen to throw at us. You know, most of the houses aren't prepared or able to function if
Oh yeah, a lot of them aren't.
they
A lot of
shut
them
the
are not.
lights off. Back in the day, everybody had wood stoves, and they had their own wells. Nowadays, only the farmers have wells, and some of them don't even have wells anymore. They're on public water. They call it public water, and farmers actually get water bills, for the water that they use on their farm, and just like city people do, because the government said it would be better for them. Yeah, okay, you can't drink the water. And not only that, every so far where they've got this pipeline, there's caps that go into the pipeline. And they don't watch the pipelines, they don't watch those water lines. It wouldn't be hard for anybody to walk up, do whatever they wanted to, put in whatever they wanted to, and poison all the water, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's just crazy. And how many chimneys are there on houses nowadays? None. Why? Because the insurance company says, "Oh no, 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 you can't have chimneys." You know. Well, okay, get rid of your chimney. If a situation, you don't have power, you can't use your wood stove. You had to get rid of that because you didn't have the chimney anymore. You know. Just hope like heck that it ain't sub-zero temperatures and sub-zero wind chills, and
That's why wood
you need to
stoves
go
would
out
be
and cook.
perfect for that.
Right,
All in one heater, and you can cook on it. You can do many things with that thing.
right. Wood stove you could bake with.
Yep.
Um, Even if it didn't have an oven, I could show you how to bake on it. You know, it was fun. It was funny one time. My husband, he was gone. He was someplace, and electricity went out in the whole village. And he come home, and I said to him, I said, "Hi, honey, you want a hot cup of coffee?" Because I had the wood stove going, and he's like, "Did you make it in that, and then put it in that, and put it on there?" I said, "Well, it was a full pot of coffee, and I just got it done. I didn't want to waste it, so yeah, I put it in the coffee pot, put it on the wood stove because we had different kind of coffee pots for the wood stove." And he said, "Leave it to my woman. She'd be the only one not to miss a beat on something like this." So yeah, we had hot coffee when other people didn't have it. But I liked that our house was set up to function no matter what happened. And now we're in a house that, yeah. And I look around town and there aren't too many places that have chimneys. And those that do don't have wood stoves in them. I know some that have fireplaces, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, but not many now.
Right? You're right about that. And
Not many of them have them now.
some places have wood stoves outside, wood heaters, because, the insurance companies. But even with them,
Yeah.
people didn't use them right. They didn't clean the stove pipes. They just thought you put the wood in and just kept burning, you know. And some of them, uh, the outside stoves also heat their water, their hot water heater. Well, you still have to clean those puppies. I hate to tell y'all, you still have to clean
Yeah.
them, you know. And if you don't, yeah, the creosote inside of it is going to start your wood stove shack on fire. It's just plain basic ABCs there. How
Yep.
hard
Well,
is
yeah,
it?
you're
How
just
hard?
building a massive carbon in your tubes in your the line, and that's
Not
just gonna catch on fire.
Well, how hard is it to unhook it from the back of your stove? Okay, that
Exactly. It's
pipe
not.
that pipe goes. Okay, Salvi, see you later. Thanks for stopping by. Um, the stovepipe goes clear up, straight up and down. Okay, it's not like um the stovepipe in Grandma's kitchen that had two elbows in it. That went up out to
Yeah.
the chimney. It's just straight up and down. And people don't understand that one. Well, you gotta take it apart and you gotta get the creosote out of it. It's not that hard, you know, and put it back together and you're good to go. You know, but it's just one of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's not very hard to clean those. I'd rather clean the pipes and the lines on those wood stoves than actually crawl up into the chimney, staring up and sweep it. Or from the top down, sweep it and have a mess. I mean, it's just easier to clean a wood stove. It's not as difficult. And you just some of them have the hatch at the bottom that you move and the ash falls and you just clean it out. And some you just have to scoop it out. It just depends on how old the
well,
stove is.
it depends on the make of the stove. Depends on, some have
Yeah.
the ash pan and some you actually, like you said, you have to scrape the ashes out from inside and
Yeah.
there ain't no ash pan. It depends on the size and the make of the stove.
Yep.
But, you still always have to take the inside section apart, take it outside, and get the creosote out. You do this when you don't have a fire in it, okay? And then if you have a chimney, you gotta go up above, and usually what they do is they'll use a long log chain,
Yep.
and they'll take a salt block like you get for your cows to lick on, you know, and put the chain around it, and you put it down your chimney and pull it back up. Put it down your chimney until you get your chimney all cleaned out. Then you go down in like your basement, and there's a little hole on the bottom of your chimney, and you take your scraper that you would use for your fireplace or for your wood stove, and you go down there, and got a long handle. It's a little bitty thing, and you pull it, pull all the ashes out of there at the bottom of the chimney. Because that flow, you have to have that flow going. And then you take those ashes, you can stock them up, save them up because you can use them for your garden. You can use them to melt the snow and ice on your sidewalks, or keep your driveway clean and dry until springtime comes and everything starts melting. You know, I mean, there's many purposes for those ashes, but
Yep. There's many for ashes.
oh yeah, you know, these I know people that used to ask the fertilizer haulers. My husband was one of them. Hey, can you get me a bucket of potash? Hey, go out, pick up sticks in your yard, burn them, even your charcoal in your grill. You know, that's your potash.
Yep.
You take that wood ash and you can also use it to make soap. You just got to know what you're doing and how to do it. But that's how they used to make soaps back in the day. Take the ash and you use the run water over it very carefully and get your lye, and then you mix it with animal fat, you know, and you end up making
Yep.
some soap with a few other ingredients in there. You know, they didn't buy this stuff, they made this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's just some crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah. So I believe soap is like number two or number three in the inventions that man made. Because I mean, without soap, we'll probably be dying of infections a lot quicker from the skin and ingestion and stuff like that.
Well, they used to go swimming and doing their laundry in the rivers, in the creeks, where
Yeah.
the water ran fresh. So that way they were able to keep clean that way too.
Yep.
You know, But yeah,
I think.
a lot of people they died from sickness because they didn't take baths and stuff. Wash their clothes as often, you
Yeah,
know.
I think that's one of the best solutions. Soap and antiseptics.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, if we got wounded, I mean, I remember in Mexico when I was younger too, we were, you got a wound like a good little scrape or a bunch of scratches or something. You got injured and it was bleeding. My grandma would go get fresh cow urine to sanitize.
Yep.
This is pure ammonia. This pure ammonia practically.
Pure ammonia. Would you like to know where they get ammonia?
Practically pure
Would you like to know where they get that
ammonia.
ammonia?
It's sterile. It's body temp.
Uh huh. Do you want to know where they got it?
Ammonia.
Ammonia comes from
Process of
human.
ammonia.
Ammonia is like human pee. If you let it age, it'll turn into
Yeah.
ammonia.
Yeah,
But
practically all urine
it has
does.
to be clean. You know, can't have any woman time of the month in it or anything like that. You know, and that's how they used to make the dye from the berries and flowers and stuff, and even some weeds.
Yeah.
What people call weeds nowadays. They would make the dye, and they'd have to have some ammonia. And out in the country, the ladies would save it in a little container by itself. And in the big cities, even the little villages, they had a they had people guys that would go around and collect all the ammonia, all the human pee, and they would dispose of it, you know, and that's how they always made their ammonia that way.
Yeah, that's what my
So
grandma did.
I'm standing outside with you. I got you sitting on the grill. I'm being mean.
Yeah, because it's
But
weird to say that ammonia or the urine from cow or something like that is sanitary.
um, I wouldn't want to put ammonia on a sore though, especially a raw one.
Well, because back then they didn't have access to alcohol all the time, so they used ammonia. And
Yeah,
I mean, I turned out fine.
yeah.
It's
Burns
not
like
for
a
something
flea.
major.
It
It's for
burns
like
like
minor
right.
injuries, minor scrapes and stuff,
It burns like Canis corpus
just to
Christi.
stave off and yeah, it's to stave off infection. That's all it was for. Is just to not let the infection set in.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
understand
stung.
that.
It stung.
Give me a bullet, Grandma. I'll bite on the bullet while you put that on me.
But yeah, I remember those days when I was young.
Yeah,
Grandma did a lot of old school stuff, or great grandma actually.
right. I mean, because they lived back then, and their moms taught them, and they taught, and that's how things got handed down, you know,
Yeah,
because they didn't have store bought stuff. I mean, they had a lot of store bought stuff back then, but um, you didn't always have a store down the street,
yeah,
you know, so you had to be able to make it yourself or find somebody that made it. And you either paid them or you had done a barter, traded something for it.
yep,
It wasn't like nowadays. But in time, you know, they'll, people will get back to that way. Not because they want to, but because they have no choice, I got a feeling.
yeah. There's not gonna be a choice.
Yep.
Either everything's gonna be destroyed, or it's gonna be to where, like we talked about, there's gonna be these mega cities, and you gotta either make the choice to take their mark of the beast. The chip, the tracking, the tattoo, the nano stuff. And
Or
if
the
you
brick
don't,
split.
Yeah, and if you don't, then you're an outcast. You got to live out in the quote unquote wastelands. You know, the lands that don't have civilization, and I'm fine with that. I don't need civilization. If I find a community or make a community, then that's it. That's all we need.
I
Don't need to
I
be in
grew up.
a.
I've grown up in their wasteland area,
I know, so have I.
so it won't change any for me. We
That's
could
why I
end
have
up.
what I need. That's
We
why I
could
have
end
what
up
I need.
um,
Sorry, there's a delay.
going back to the migration. You know, you go north in the summertime and south in the wintertime,
Yep,
like everybody used to do.
yep.
It's just one of those things. But I'm outside and my one tree's still has a lot of leaves on it, but they're falling off, and other ones of them,
Yeah,
some
not
have
yet here.
still have
California
green.
is always a late bloomer.
Other ones, they're changing, and some of them are dark green leaves yet. So won't be long. Halloween's coming down on Halloween. Wow. Are you ready?
For what? Not having Halloween because they canceled it.
Well, I got news for you, honey. We're still gonna have Halloween.
I know
We'll
everyone should.
we'll just do it
Everyone
over the
should.
internet. Really irk their cookies, you know?
Everyone should still do the holidays. It doesn't matter what your state government, local government, community government, your community leaders say. If they say no, well, defy it. We can't desert traditions. I mean, yeah, maybe some of them are paganist, but the thing is, in reality, those traditions are about the family, not about the celebrating of that
Right.
day.
It's you can have a family holiday. You don't have to be elaborate. Just
Nope.
make some candy, and there you go. Give the kids a couple pieces of candy. They're happy. They don't need pillow cases of candy. You know,
Yeah.
you, you can either buy some fruit roll-ups or that kind of stuff, or you can make it, and it's healthier if you make it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they used to do. If you wanted candy, you made it. They used to get together. Kids would get together at so and so's house because that mother knew how to make candy, and they were having a candy party. So the kids all gather around. The big kids, the little kids, it didn't matter. And if they had enough big kids, well, the little kids would start out helping. They wouldn't last long, but they could make taffy and hard candy and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't buy it, and they made chocolates and stuff like that. They didn't buy them. I mean, you have to be aware of it. You have to know how to do it. It's like cookbooks. Cookbooks are a good thing because a lot of young people, well, if I want to make something, I just look it up on the internet. And I'm like, that's fine. But what are you going to do when there ain't no internet? Oh, the internet ain't going away?
Yeah.
Uh, okay. Well, still, those things that I have called recipes in my house? I don't need the internet to look them up. I just grab a cookbook and look it up. And I can make whatever I want to make, you know? And they used to share recipes, you know? Oh, God's night makes the
Yeah.
best pumpkin bars. Did you ask him for the recipe? No, but as soon as I see him, I'm gonna, you know? And that's how they would exchange recipes. They'd hand them down through the families,
Yeah.
too.
Those. You know what? Those sound good with the cream cheese icing. Those sound good right now.
Yes. with the cheese, cream cheese frostings. I
Yep,
had a
that sounds good.
I had a friend who was also my landlord at the time, and the holidays came, and I says, "What kind of pie do you want?" Anything but pumpkin pie. I don't like nothing pumpkin. Okay, and so one day I went and I made pumpkin bars, and I put cream cheese frosting on them. And he came upstairs to where we were renting, and I says, "Would you like some?" "Sure." And I watched this guy eat them like crazy. Him and the two kids when they were little were just going bonkers over them. That next holiday, I said, "So what kind of pie would you like?" "Oh, anything but pumpkin. I don't like nothing pumpkin." I says, "Look, I don't know who you think she is, but I'm not her." I says, "You are so busted, mister. You stood and you ate pumpkin bars with the little ones." "Oh, yeah, you're right. I like those." I'm like, "Well, if you like pumpkin bars, you'll like pumpkin cake, because that's what a bar is basically. And I
Yeah,
says, you'll also like pumpkin pie if it's made right." "Oh, I don't like pumpkin anything." I'm like, okay. So yeah, and banana bread, banana bars. Oh, they're all good and they're healthy, you know. And I'm glad I
heck
did.
yeah,
I'm glad I made those donuts. Um, because if you do it right and you leave space in between the cherries when you put them in the chocolate, before you encase it, leave space in between them, because then after you pour the rest of the chocolate on, the chocolate will fill in between the cherries, and you can take a knife and you can cut it, okay, in between the cherries, and you gotta let them age so that you get the juice. A week or two, and you'll have the juice in them. But when you go cut them, then it'll cut and you'll end up with individual cherries, chocolate covered cherries that you can eat too, you know.
yeah.
So those were something I was thinking about for quite a while, as you know. And yeah, then when I got those done, I was like, man, I can make any kind of candy bar filling and put in them, and there, you know. It's a donut, but it's not a donut. It's a candy donut.
Yeah, which was pretty neat.
Yeah,
That
don't get
was
me
neat
wrong.
when I saw you
I
making
can
those.
I can make donuts. I can make your cake donuts, and I can make your bread dough donuts, because that's what those other ones are. You know, I can show you how to make long johns and put Bavarian frosting or cream cheese frosting in them, and put your caramel frosting on top, and or Bavarian pudding in the inside. Um, and then I can show you how to make eclairs doing that too. None of it's hard. You just gotta have the time and patience. You know, it'll work out.
Yep,
Sorry,
it
had some
all
in
works out.
the other room getting a little loud on us, but yeah. And so when um, people think I'm crazy, but if you have like a 1975 or older machine, sewing machine, you don't have to have electricity to be able to still sew with it. You know, but
Yeah,
after 1975, that's when they started adding the chips and stuff to them, and they're not going to work without electricity because of the chips. You know, so either you have a sewing machine that you can run, still use, you got to crank it by hand. But when they first started making sewing machines, they didn't have them hooked up to a treadle machine. You had to literally crank them by hand to sew with them, you know. and then they made them to where they could hook the treadle machine on, or the treadle onto the machine, and then you pumped it with your feet. And then they took those and added engine to them, and that's how, you started out. And that
Yeah.
led to the modern sewing machine. And a lot of people don't know that one either, you know. But I have some of the answers. I don't have all of the answers, and I'm always learning, you know. But it's kind of like with leather, depending on how you want to sew it, depends on which kind of holes you use, which kind of holes you make to, if you want lace or if you want to sew it with sinew, you know. And it's good to know how to sew by hand, so that way you can always make clothes or patch or whatever, you know. But I just, yeah, one step at a time, you know.
Trade first, and
What'd you say?
I said, yeah, I agree. One step at a time, and then you just learn that trade, get it down. So another one, learn another one.
Yeah, you learn to make things with wood. Believe it or not, you can actually make bowls and stuff with a piece of wood. You gotta have
Yep.
in order to hollow it out for a bowl. If you don't have a manual, which they had manual lathes, but if you don't have a manual lathe, you gotta know how to do it by hand. And they had a instrument that was called a hook knife. It was kind of, and they called it that because the end of it had kind of a hook to it, and they would use that to hollow out the inside. But when you make a bowl, it's not, how do I want to put this? It's not the round part of the tree that you make a bowl out of. You got to take, if you get big tree, and I mean a real big one, um, one where two or three people have can't, can hardly link their hands together to go around the outside of the tree. You take and you split it into triangle pieces. You cut your logs, but then you take the triangle pieces, and they have to be big because the if you want a big bowl, it's got to be a big triangle piece, and that's how you cut that triangle the size of you want the bowl to be, or the little bowl or big bowl, whatever, and you put that on your lathe or you whittle it out by hand, you know. So, and then the blacksmiths, they used to be really popular, and because they made your knives and your cookware and your silverware and stuff, So, but if you
Yeah,
didn't have a blacksmith, you had to know how, your husband had to know how to, or
the
you know
town
had
that
to
I
know how
the
to.
town that I grew up in, that I was raised in, had a blacksmith still back in the early '80s,
Yeah.
and he still worked out of his big shed or this building. And I think in around '88, '87, he closed down. Finally closed down.
Um, this one friend of mine, I knew his dad when I was little. His dad was an electrician, and um, his son grew up and started doing blacksmithing after he got home out of the services. Anyhow, his wife and him, that's all they did. They'd travel around to the rendezvous and reenactments and do blacksmithing. And um, the movies like Braveheart and Amadeus, and you know, and that he went. He made some of the props for him for Hollywood for him. So, and he retired, when he was like 80 years old. So he done a lot of work. In fact,
That's cool.
he
Huh?
made my handcuffs for me and my leg shackles. It was hilarious because I was like, oh, I got a winter project for you, and then he'd make them over the winter, and I'd pay him for them in the spring. It was hilarious. He's like, and it was funny because I said, I bought my whips from him, and then I went and I said, you like leather, right? And he's like, yeah. And I says, well, do you like lace? And he looked at me and he goes, why? And his wife come around the corner. And I said, because leather goes good with lace. And so I asked him what his favorite colors was and, what his wife, I says to his wife, I go, what's your favorite color? And she told me and he told me. And the next day I went back and I had two tatted crosses. And I says, there. I says, now, we don't want details on how you guys model them for each other or anything like that. I says, but I told you, you know, there was a legit good reason for it. So they
Yeah.
both had a kick out of it, you know. But yeah, you'd be surprised what all they had back in the days. A lot of people don't think that they had, you know, a lot of stuff, but they already had it, you know. The fish hooks came about being because they started making safety pins for babies' diapers in the factories, and when they grew up, they were like, "Well, we can't afford to keep throwing these things away." So, yeah, the messed up baby hooks or safety pins for babies' diapers, diaper pins, whatever you want to call it, ended up how they came to be making the fish hooks. So,
Interesting.
long time ago, yeah. And they used to not have fishing poles like the kind you buy in the store.
Oh, I know.
Went to the tree and whacked off a branch, and you went down to the river and you caught your fish. They didn't have fishing line either. They had string, you know. And if you caught fish, then you got to eat. And if you didn't catch fish, better hope like heck that, yeah, Ma had something up her sleeve.
Yeah, my first fishing pole was pretty much a switch. It was or branch. It was a bamboo pole or bamboo, a
Bamboo.
bamboo tree.
Right. Well, bamboo comes in handy for a lot of things too.
Uh-huh. They're all over here. Where I'm at, they're everywhere.
Where I'm at, they ain't got 'em. You can make flute music, or yeah, flutes to make music with bamboo.
Yep. You can do a lot with the bamboo. You can make containers for water, for food, for
Yeah,
transporting something, for fish, whatever you need.
right,
Depending on the size of the bamboo, yep, you can use it for a lot of things.
right.
Many of things.
It's just like the willow. If you
Yep.
get the willows when they're young, you can use them for a lot of things too, making baskets and stuff. It's never, there's always something. Back in the day, people didn't get in too much trouble because they were so busy doing what they had to do. You know,
Yeah.
and
They were actually
they
busy
made their own
living.
music. And some of them would go, "Hey, let's go to Bob and Phyllis's house tonight and play some music." You know, and they didn't. Bob and Phyllis didn't know they were coming. They might Phyllis might be in the kitchen butchering up a hog or whatever. Well, they just clean that stuff up off the floor and they'd go in the front room and they'd move all the furniture out. The guys would start playing their instruments and they'd start dancing around the front room, you know.
Yeah.
That's how they, because the guys would go out and watch over the cows and stuff at night, and they'd take their instruments and they'd go down and they'd play for the cows, and that's how they where they would learn their instruments, and they would sing to the cows because then they could calm the cows down. So if something bad was going on, they would be able to hear the cow, you know, other than a regular moo, and they could save the cow or the sheep or whatever, you know, from the predator. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So
Yep. That is true.
that's
Busy
definitely
living.
it's definitely different. So
Yeah.
what other kinds of things did you learn from your grandma? Your grandma,
How to garden. I mean, how to plant crops and whatnot. She taught me how to till by hand with the sabon. Though they didn't have a shovel, and it was a shovel that my grandpa used, so she didn't touch it. So she had other ways of tilling,
right?
and so I learned how to till by hand. I mean, not a lot of. She didn't need to use. She didn't need to till a whole bunch of land, just enough to grow what she needed to grow that would keep them going for the season. And then she started up a new piece of dirt for other crops. So she basically just rotated her areas where she would plant. That way, it wouldn't drain that spot of nutrients for the other season.
Right.
She let that little area rest.
I hear you there. A lot of people don't understand that theory either.
Yeah, you have to let that soil rest a season or two at least, so it can sustain your plants when you're planting your crops. When you're planting seeds and then your crops grow, that way they grow healthy and they grow faster too.
Right.
Because the less nutrients they have, the less they produce and the slower they grow.
Sometimes you got to add lime or potash to it or wood ash.
Yeah. What she
You know.
did, she used her old coffee. That's why I learned the coffee ground thing. She used old coffee grounds. She made her own compost. She used ash from the fires we would use outside, or when she cooked in her earthen oven. It was made out of adobe,
Yeah, I want to get one or make one of those. I want to have one of those
and
because
she used ash from that. Everything was cooked outside on that oven.
yeah,
Everything.
I mean that's that would be a easier way to do your bacon in the summertime and not heat your house up.
Yep. Yeah, that's how she dried her meat too. She would make a she had my great grandpa make her a little metal rack with four shelves, and she would lay the meat across it, put wood in the earthen stove because it would be hot, just hot enough where the rack was off the top of the surface, so it's not too hot, not too cold. It kept the pests away, and it kept it warm the whole time. So she was able to dry her meat outside with the sun and a little bit of heat from beneath it without
Right.
cooking.
Well, a lot of what they would do is um, they put the fire inside the oven and get it hot, and then they take the ashes, the hot coals, and knock them out
Yeah.
because then the bricks are hot, and they would cook them, you know, or dry whatever inside of it that way, you know.
Yep.
You had to hope like heck that you got it hot enough to last whatever you were doing, you know.
Yeah, she did a lot of stuff on that thing. Everything on that thing.
I knew this one lady, she didn't live up here, but she had a cook stove. She lived down Missouri. And she had a stove in the house, a wood stove in the house, but she also had a wood stove outside in the yard. And I was like, okay, I don't understand this. There is this beautiful wood stove in the yard. Am I missing something? I was a little kid. And Aunt Polly, she was a hilarious lady. I mean, it was so hot
I
down
might have
there
seen
where they lived. Nobody went back in their place. So it was nothing for her to run around in a bra. Nothing showed. It was just like a swimsuit top back then. And so um, she would run around in a bra. And if it was time to cook in the summertime, she'd start the wood stove up out in the yard, and she'd cook supper, bake in it, and everything outside. Didn't heat the house up that way, but I could just see people doing that nowadays. They'd get in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the things that I know about, and the things that the people I've known, because most of them are dead now. Um, Growing up as a kid, I always paid attention to what the older people were doing to a point. Like I paid attention to, yeah, how their houses were different. Like this person here had a wood stove, this person had a funky new stove, and you know, when I was a kid, people still had potbelly stoves in their houses or wood stoves. Man, those things were not uh, safe if you had little kids, but we made it work. And you always had to go outside to go to the outhouse. I remember that.
Yeah,
I
same here.
I got in trouble when I was a kid though when it came to an outhouse. I learned how to make mud pies, okay? And I was like, where is a hot place, because when everybody else makes a pie, they put it in an oven, so I needed someplace really hot. Ah, the outhouse. It'll work, It had two holes. So I went and put my mud pies out on the bench nice and neatly and kind of around the rings. I mean, it was full of different sized mud pies. Somebody had to go to the bathroom and they sat on my mud pies. Ruined my mud pies. But I was the only one that got in trouble.
Mud pies. I remember that stuff too. Mud pies.
Did you get in trouble for them sitting on yours?
A few times. A few
Yeah.
times. But it's because I was playing in the mud, not necessarily making the mud pies.
Well, I kind of put him in the outhouse on the bench where you sit to do your business. Yeah.
So the prankster thing.
No, I was baking my mud pies. I was serious.
Oh, in the outhouse. Oh, in the outhouse.
Yeah, because the outhouse was hot, in the summertime. They were the best
Yeah,
ovens, you know. You had to think like I was thinking, a little kid, I was thinking practical. Where would be the fastest
it's a
place
hot
to bake?
box. Yeah,
Right, where would be the hottest place, the fastest way to bake your pies? The outhouse.
yeah, the outhouse.
I got in trouble, and the person that ruined my pies did not get in trouble at all. And I said, "That's not fair." Yeah, I remember that. I mean, it was just. rather hilarious, but at the time I was very upset because it wasn't fair. I got in trouble. That person didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we've got this figured out, don't we? Oh my, we've been talking for almost an hour.
Well, that's good. It's a test run, so it's good.
Right. We're having we're fun testing and talking about good things and old ways and modern things, you know.
Yep.
So, and there's two people watching.
That's cool.
Yeah, can't complain about that. But
Yeah. Well,
anyhow,
like you said, it's learning. I mean, I'm still learning. Like you said, you're still learning. It's learning is a never ending thing. If you say, "Oh yeah, I know everything," I learned all I need to know. That's not true. It's not.
if you think that, then you might as well hang it up on the wall
Yeah.
because you live until you got all the answers that you're supposed to have, you know. And I still have my portable kitchen sink. And when I say portable, it's portable. I used to take it to all the rendezvous with us. And that's what you used. I had two of them. You used one for washing and one for rinsing. And then if you were nice, you'd get somebody that would dry your dishes for you, usually your husband or a friend. And otherwise, you had to leave them sit on your towel so that they could dry. And then you put them away
Yeah.
quick. But yeah, things sure aren't the way that they used to be, but a lot of people will be caught off guard if they have to go back to the old ways.
Yeah. It's unfortunate though. A lot of them may not even make it because they refuse to do things than what they're comfortable with, or they're just not gonna know how to survive.
Right. They're they're what I call too soft. Okay.
Yeah.
They're too soft, as in we depend on the modern ways too much. Um, and yeah, it's just crazy, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, I just it's like back when after my husband passed away, I told my one landlord and my oldest son I wanted a crank radio. They're like, "What? What do you want one of those for?" I says, "Trust me, it's gonna come in handy." And they thought I was crazy. Well, when you lose electricity, guess what? That crank radio tells you a lot of what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
depending
it
on the kind,
does.
you can actually crank it and charge your cell phones with it. So, and you crank it enough, you can charge a laptop too. But yeah, I still have it, so that's not such a bad thing. One of these years, I'll have to replace it with a better one. But when it's time, I will. You know.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
An eventual thing.
Right. cross that bridge when the time comes,
Yep.
you know. But this has been fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean,
It is cool. So now
how
you
much
can
longer?
do a, huh?
I was gonna say, how much longer do you want to do this?
It doesn't matter, JT. Whenever you want to end it, it's fine with me.
Okay.
No problem.
Well, we'll leave it. I'll even share it with them. You know, people can watch it if they want. You know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's longer than what any of my videos are. Oh my. You know. So yeah. And bright side is, I was so happy. Hippie did not lose his electricity.
Yeah, he did, and I saw the what you sent me in Discord.
Yeah, he was gonna go live again later on, but I didn't see where he did. You know. But yeah, that was a good one. I was so happy to hear that. But that trailer house next to him, it got some more damage done to it.
Yeah, that one got tore up. Really, really tore up.
Yeah. So I think we'll end this and stick around in the other part of it for a little
Okay.
bit. So thank you for coming and helping me
No
and being
problem,
on my
JT.
show. You're my first guest.
No
Oh
problem.
my. I
Yes,
feel
bro.
so honored. Um, and to everybody else, God bless you and have a great day. And hope to
Good
talk to
day. God
talk
bless you.
soon.